The coffee shop buzzed with the hum of espresso machines and the soft chatter of customers enjoying their mid-morning caffeine fixes. Tucked in a bustling downtown neighborhood, Java Haven prided itself on being a welcoming space for everyone. Its manager, Mia, was known for her firm but fair demeanor and her commitment to keeping the atmosphere calm and inclusive. Yet, on one fateful day, the shop would find itself at the center of an unforeseen controversy that would ripple far beyond its walls. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. It was a crisp autumn morning when Barron Trump stepped into Java Haven. Clad in a casual hoodie and jeans, his signature accessory, a bright red Make America Great Again hat, rested snugly on his head. At 16, Barron was tall, unassuming, and polite, but the hat was a lightning rod for controversy. Though he had grown up in the spotlight as the son of a polarizing political figure, Barron often preferred to blend into the background. Today, however, his choice of headwear would inadvertently spark an incident that would stun the world. As Barron approached the counter to order a caramel latte, he noticed Mia's eyes narrow slightly. A staunch believer in fostering a neutral, apolitical space, Mia found the hat emblematic of division. She had seen customers wear similar hats before, and while she usually ignored them, something about seeing it on such a high-profile figure irked her. She took a deep breath, reminding herself to remain professional, but the tension was palpable. "Good morning," Barron greeted with a polite smile, placing his order. Mia nodded curtly, punching his request into the register. Her professionalism held, but her discomfort was clear. She handed Barron his change without making eye contact, and he stepped aside to wait for his drink. As the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere in the shop shifted. Whispers spread among customers as they recognized Barron and debated the significance of his hat. Some snapped covert photos, others exchanged pointed glances. A few began to murmur loudly enough for Barron to hear snippets of their opinions, both supportive and critical. When Barron's latte was ready, Mia hesitated before calling his name. She could feel the weight of the moment and decided to address it head-on. She walked around the counter, latte in hand, and approached him directly. "Excuse me," Mia began, her voice firm but steady. "I need to ask you to leave. Your hat is creating a disturbance in the shop, and I can't allow this space to become a battleground for political views." Barron blinked, taken aback. "I didn't mean to cause any trouble, I just came for coffee." "I understand," Mia replied, "but we strive to maintain a neutral environment here. Your hat is causing tension, and I have to consider the comfort of all our customers." A hush fell over the room as everyone watched the interaction unfold. Barron, visibly uncomfortable but composed, nodded and handed Mia his untouched latte. "I'm sorry if my presence upset anyone," he said softly. "I'll go." As Barron walked out of Java Haven, the incident didn't end. A patron who had filmed the exchange posted the video online, and within hours, it had gone viral. Opinions flooded social media. Some praised Mia for taking a stand, while others condemned her for targeting a teenager over his personal beliefs. The debate was fierce, and Java Haven became a flashpoint in the ongoing cultural divide. Barron, however, remained silent. For the next few days, he stayed out of the spotlight, focusing on school and spending time with his family. But behind the scenes, he was quietly working on something that would soon surprise everyone. A week later, Barron returned to Java Haven, but not in the way anyone expected. Early one morning, before the shop opened, Mia arrived to find a box on the doorstep. Inside was a handwritten note, a check, and a dozen custom coffee mugs. The note read, "Dear Mia and the Java Haven team, I understand why you made the decision you did last week, and I respect your desire to create a peaceful space for your customers. However, I believe in turning moments of division into opportunities for connection. I'd like to donate this check to help support your business and to show that even when we disagree, we can choose kindness." Enclosed are mugs that say, "Coffee first, politics later." Perhaps they can serve as a reminder that what unites us is stronger than what divides us. Sincerely, Barron Trump. Mia was stunned. She had expected backlash, or at best, silence from Barron. Instead, he had responded with grace and generosity. She felt a pang of regret for how she had handled the situation and decided to make amends. Later that day, Mia posted an open letter on Java Haven's social media accounts. She apologized for singling Barron out and thanked him for his thoughtful gesture. Her post read, "We all make mistakes, and I made one last week. My decision to ask Barron Trump to leave our shop was driven by a desire to protect our space, but in doing so, I failed to show the inclusivity we pride ourselves on. Barron's response has humbled me and reminded me of the power of compassion. Thank you, Barron, for your kindness. Let's all strive to be better together." The post quickly gained traction, and what began as a polarizing incident transformed into a conversation about reconciliation and mutual understanding. Customers returned to Java Haven, eager to see the mugs Barron had donated, which became a symbol of unity. Mia and her staff adopted a new policy, welcoming all customers regardless of their attire or beliefs, as long as they respected the space and each other. In the weeks that followed, Barron's actions continued to inspire others. He quietly donated to several other small businesses facing challenges and encouraged dialogue over division. News outlets picked up the story, praising his maturity and grace. People from all walks of life reached out to commend him, and even those who initially criticized Mia found themselves moved by the story's resolution. Barron's unexpected response had a ripple effect. It reminded people that kindness and understanding could bridge even the widest divides. What began as a contentious moment in a small coffee shop became a powerful example of how empathy and generosity can transform conflict into connection. And for Barron, it was just another step in his journey to quietly make a difference in the world, one small act at a time. The aftermath of the Java Haven incident didn't fade into obscurity. Barron Trump's quiet but impactful response became the seed for something much larger, reverberating across the nation and sparking a movement rooted in compassion and reconciliation. As the story of Barron's generosity and Mia's subsequent apology spread, it reached major news outlets. Morning shows, cable news networks, and online media platforms dissected the events from every angle. Commentators debated the role of personal expression in public spaces, the importance of neutrality in businesses, and the broader implications of how people interact across ideological lines. Journalists attempted to interview Barron, but he declined most requests, preferring to let his actions speak for themselves. His silence only added to the intrigue, painting him as a young man of quiet conviction and substance. In an age dominated by sound bites and social media skirmishes, Barron's approach stood out. Meanwhile, Java Haven became a pilgrimage site for those inspired by the story. Tourists and locals alike flocked to the shop, eager to buy coffee in one of the now famous "Coffee First, Politics Later" mugs. The mugs, originally intended as a token of goodwill, became a viral sensation. People from all walks of life posted pictures of themselves sipping from the mugs, often accompanied by messages of unity and understanding. Mia, overwhelmed by the sudden surge of attention, found herself grappling with the weight of her choices. While she had initially struggled to reconcile her actions with the values she claimed to uphold, she saw the incident as an opportunity to grow. In interviews, she openly admitted her misstep and spoke candidly about the importance of embracing uncomfortable conversations. "It's not easy to confront our own biases," she said during an appearance on a popular podcast. "But if there's one thing this experience has taught me, it's that humility and grace can open doors to real change." Inspired by the overwhelming response to his gesture, Barron decided to channel the momentum into something greater. Quietly, he worked with a small team to create an initiative he called the Kindness Campaign, aimed at fostering dialogue and understanding in polarized communities. The campaign's mission was simple: to encourage people to connect over shared experiences rather than be divided by their differences. The response was extraordinary. Hundreds of coffee shops signed up, eager to participate in what many saw as a much-needed antidote to the divisiveness permeating everyday life. These establishments reported a noticeable shift in atmosphere. Patrons who might have previously avoided each other now engaged in meaningful exchanges. One shop owner in Texas shared a particularly poignant story during an interview. "We had a man wearing a MAGA hat sitting across from someone with a Black Lives Matter shirt. Normally, they'd never talk, but during our first kindness hour, they ended up sharing stories about their families. They left laughing, shaking hands. It was incredible." Barron remained largely behind the scenes, allowing the campaign to take on a life of its own. Yet his quiet leadership and the authenticity of his intentions drew admiration from across the political spectrum. Leaders, activists, and public figures began to take note, many offering to support the initiative. Celebrities posted about the campaign, and high-profile philanthropists offered donations to expand its reach. The Kindness Campaign's influence soon extended beyond coffee shops. Schools, community centers, and even workplaces began adopting its principles. Teachers hosted empathy-building workshops, encouraging students to listen to and learn from peers with differing perspectives. Corporations integrated kindness hours into team-building activities, fostering a culture of respect and understanding among employees. In one particularly moving example, a high school in Ohio that had been plagued by tensions between students of different political affiliations embraced the campaign. With the help of facilitators, the school organized a series of discussions where students could share their experiences and challenges without fear of judgment. By the end of the school year, the principal reported a dramatic decrease in bullying incidents and a renewed sense of community. The campaign's success also inspired artistic expression. Musicians, writers, and visual artists created works that celebrated themes of unity and compassion. A singer-songwriter in Nashville penned a ballad inspired by Barron's actions, which quickly climbed the charts. The lyrics, which spoke of bridging the gap with a single kind act, resonated deeply with audiences. Even social media, often criticized for fueling division, became a platform for connection. The hashtag #KindnessFirst trended for weeks, with users sharing stories of reconciliation and moments of unexpected understanding. While trolls and critics still lurked in the shadows, the overwhelming positivity of the movement drowned out the negativity. For Barron, the journey was not without its challenges. Despite his best efforts to avoid the spotlight, he faced criticism from those who questioned his motives or accused him of trying to rehabilitate his family's image. Others dismissed the kindness campaign as naive or overly idealistic, arguing that systemic issues couldn't be solved with coffee shop conversations. Yet Barron remained undeterred. He spent much of his free time meeting with community leaders, activists, and scholars to deepen his understanding of the complexities of division. These encounters shaped his perspective and helped him refine the campaign's mission. While he acknowledged that systemic change required more than goodwill, he firmly believed in the power of small, meaningful actions to build a foundation for broader progress. Barron also found unexpected allies in his journey. Among them was Mia, the Java Haven manager whose initial actions had sparked the entire chain of events. The two struck up a correspondence, exchanging thoughts on how to navigate the challenges of fostering inclusivity. Mia eventually became a spokesperson for the Kindness campaign, traveling to different cities to share her story and advocate for its principles. "I never imagined that a mistake on my part could lead to something so transformative," Mia said during a panel discussion. "It's a testament to the fact that growth and redemption are always possible." As the campaign gained momentum, Barron and his team began to explore ways to scale its impact. They collaborated with nonprofit organizations, local governments, and educational institutions to develop resources that communities could use to promote empathy and dialogue. These included toolkits for hosting kindness hours, guides for facilitating difficult conversations, and curricula for teaching emotional intelligence in schools. One particularly ambitious project involved creating a network of kindness ambassadors. These volunteers, drawn from diverse backgrounds, were trained to lead workshops, mediate conflicts, and inspire others to carry the campaign's message forward. Within a year, thousands of ambassadors were active across the country, working tirelessly to build bridges in their communities. The campaign also expanded its focus to include digital spaces. Recognizing the pervasive toxicity of online discourse, Barron partnered with tech companies to develop tools for promoting civility on social media platforms. These included features that encouraged users to pause before posting inflammatory comments and algorithms designed to prioritize constructive interactions over divisive content. What began as a small gesture in a single coffee shop soon evolved into a global movement. Inspired by the success of the Kindness campaign in the United States, people in other countries began adopting its principles. Coffee shops in Europe, Asia, and South America hosted their own kindness hours, adapting the concept to reflect their unique cultural contexts. In South Africa, a country with a long history of division, the campaign sparked a wave of reconciliation initiatives. In Japan, where social harmony is highly valued, the movement inspired discussions about balancing tradition with modernity. And in Brazil, where vibrant community life thrives, the campaign became a rallying cry for bridging gaps across socioeconomic divides. The United Nations even recognized the campaign as a model for grassroots peace building, inviting Barron to speak at a global summit on conflict resolution. Though he was initially hesitant to take the stage, Barron delivered a heartfelt address that emphasized the universal need for empathy and understanding. "We may come from different cultures, speak different languages, and hold different beliefs," he said, "but at our core, we all seek connection, respect, and dignity. Kindness isn't a weakness, it's the strength that binds us together." Years later, the Kindness campaign would be remembered as a turning point in a polarized era. While it didn't solve every problem or heal every wound, it planted seeds of hope in countless hearts. Communities that once seemed irreparably divided found common ground, and individuals who once felt isolated discovered a sense of belonging. Barron, having grown into a thoughtful and compassionate adult, continued to champion the cause of kindness in various forms. Though he remained private about his personal life, his legacy as a unifying figure endured, For those who witnessed the events unfold, the story of a young man who responded to rejection with grace and generosity served as a powerful reminder of the impact one person can have. The mug that once bore the simple message, "Coffee first, politics later," became a timeless symbol of the campaign's mission. Long after the initial incident had faded from headlines, people around the world continued to sip their coffee from those mugs, reminded of the power of kindness, the importance of listening, and the enduring possibility of reconciliation. The enduring legacy of the kindness campaign was not just in the immediate changes it fostered, but in the cultural shift it encouraged over the years. Barron Trump's story became the blueprint for a broader movement toward empathy, responsibility, and connection. The simplicity of his initial act, a heartfelt apology wrapped in kindness, ignited changes that spanned education, business practices, media consumption, and even government policy. As the kindness campaign gained traction, educators around the world began integrating its principles into their classrooms. A growing consensus among teachers and psychologists highlighted the importance of emotional intelligence and empathy as essential skills for the next generation. Schools, inspired by the campaign, started reimagining their approach to education. One school district in New York created a pilot program called Empathy in Action, based on the kindness campaign's values. The program included exercises in active listening, conflict resolution, and teamwork. Students were encouraged to share their own stories, particularly those shaped by differing cultural or political experiences. Teachers noticed that these exercises not only built trust and understanding among students, but also improved academic performance and reduced disciplinary incidents. A pivotal moment came when a coalition of educators from diverse countries launched an international conference titled Teaching Kindness: The Future of Education. Leaders from Finland, South Korea, Kenya, and the United States collaborated to share best practices for incorporating empathy-based learning. Barron Trump was invited to deliver the keynote address, where he stressed the importance of teaching young people how to engage with others thoughtfully. "Our future depends on how we treat one another today," he told an audience of thousands. "Imagine a world where kindness is as fundamental as math or science. That's a world worth building." The educational movement expanded further when the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, recognized kindness-based curriculums as a global priority. Countries began implementing these ideas, tailoring them to their unique needs. In India, schools used storytelling traditions to foster empathy, while in Australia, outdoor group activities became a cornerstone of the movement. While education saw a transformation, the business world also took notice of the kindness campaign's success. Corporations, inspired by its principles, began reassessing their own workplace cultures. The term corporate kindness became a buzzword, as companies recognized the value of empathy in enhancing employee satisfaction, collaboration, and customer loyalty. A leading tech company in Silicon Valley adopted an initiative called empathy-driven leadership, which trained managers to approach decision-making with compassion. The program emphasized listening to employees' concerns, promoting work-life balance, and encouraging constructive feedback. The results were remarkable. Employee retention rates soared, and the company became a model for others in the industry. Small businesses also embraced the movement. A bakery in Chicago launched a kindness discount, offering reduced prices to customers who shared stories of acts of kindness they had performed. A bookstore in London started hosting weekly kindness book clubs, where readers discussed literature that emphasized themes of empathy and unity. Even global brands jumped on board, leveraging their influence to promote the campaign's ideals. A major beverage company released a commercial series titled Moments That Matter, showcasing real-life stories of strangers coming together through simple acts of kindness. The advertisements became viral sensations, further embedding the campaign's values into the cultural zeitgeist. One of the most surprising and transformative effects of the kindness campaign was its impact on politics. In a world where partisanship often overshadowed progress, the campaign's emphasis on dialogue began to influence political discourse. Lawmakers who once viewed each other as adversaries started finding common ground. A bipartisan coalition in the U.S. Congress, inspired by Barron's story, formed the Civility Caucus. This group of senators and representatives pledged to engage in constructive debate and prioritize collaboration over confrontation. Their first major achievement was the passage of the Unity Grants Act, which allocated funding to community organizations working to bridge divides. At the state level, governors and local officials implemented initiatives that brought diverse groups together. In Michigan, for example, the governor launched a program called Bridging the Divide, where citizens from rural and urban areas were paired to work on community projects. Participants often entered the program with preconceived notions about each other, but left with new friendships and a deeper appreciation for their shared humanity. The campaign's influence also reached international diplomacy. World leaders, inspired by the grassroots success of the Kindness Campaign, began emphasizing personal connections during negotiations. The annual G20 summit introduced a new tradition. Leaders were required to participate in a facilitated discussion about their own cultural traditions and values before tackling economic or geopolitical issues. This exercise fostered mutual respect and improved cooperation. Media platforms, which had long been criticized for amplifying divisive rhetoric, began exploring ways to support the Kindness Campaign's mission. News outlets created segments focused on stories of reconciliation and human connection. A popular evening news show launched a weekly feature called Acts of Grace, where they highlighted ordinary people making extraordinary efforts to foster understanding. Social media companies also embraced the movement. In collaboration with Barron and his team, they introduced new tools to promote kindness online. One innovative feature was called Pause for Perspective, which encouraged users to take a moment to reflect before posting potentially inflammatory comments. Another tool used machine learning to highlight posts that sparked positive engagement, such as expressions of gratitude or acts of generosity. A new genre of media emerged, focusing on storytelling that celebrated empathy. Documentaries chronicled the journey of individuals who overcame prejudice, novels explored the transformative power of forgiveness, and television shows depicted characters navigating conflicts with grace and compassion. These works resonated deeply with audiences, proving that kindness could be as compelling as conflict. The global success of the Kindness Campaign inspired countless grassroots movements. In neighborhoods, cities, and villages across the world, ordinary people found creative ways to build bridges. Community gardens became spaces for connection, with diverse groups working side by side to cultivate not just plants but also relationships. Pop-up events called kindness festivals featured music, food, and workshops aimed at fostering dialogue. Religious organizations, often seen as bastions of tradition, embraced the campaign's universal message. Churches, mosques, temples, and synagogues organized interfaith events where members of different faiths could learn from one another. In one striking example, a mosque in Berlin partnered with a nearby synagogue to host a joint community dinner. The event, attended by hundreds, became a powerful symbol of unity in a historically divided city. Volunteerism surged as people sought tangible ways to contribute to the movement. From mentoring programs to disaster relief efforts, acts of kindness multiplied, often driven by individuals inspired by Barron's story. One woman in Argentina, moved by the campaign, organized a project to build homes for families displaced by floods. Her efforts, supported by donations from around the world, transformed the lives of hundreds. As the years passed, Barron Trump remained a pivotal figure in the movement he had unwittingly started. Though he continued to shy away from the spotlight, he occasionally made public appearances to advocate for the values he held dear. Each time, his sincerity and humility resonated with audiences. Barron's personal life also reflected his commitment to kindness. He pursued higher education, studying psychology and sociology to better understand human behavior and the roots of division. He often spent time volunteering at community centers, quietly helping people without drawing attention to himself. Despite his preference for privacy, Barron's influence continued to grow. His story was included in school curriculums as an example of how one person could spark change through compassion. His image, often depicted as the teenager who walked out of Java Haven with dignity, became an enduring symbol of resilience and grace. The Kindness Campaign's impact was far-reaching, but it was not without challenges. Skeptics questioned whether kindness alone could address systemic issues like inequality, injustice, and environmental degradation. Barron himself acknowledged these critiques, emphasizing that the campaign was not a solution to all problems, but a foundation for addressing them collaboratively. To create a better world, we need more than just kindness, he said during a rare interview. But kindness is where we start. It's the bridge that allows us to work together toward bigger goals. In time, the campaign evolved to include initiatives focused on addressing structural inequalities. Grants were directed toward programs that supported marginalized communities, and partnerships were formed with organizations advocating for social justice. The campaign's ethos remained rooted in empathy, but its scope expanded to tackle systemic barriers. By the campaign's 10th anniversary, its influence was undeniable. Billions of people had been touched by its message, whether through kindness hours, educational reforms, or grassroots initiatives. It had become a global movement, reminding the world of the power of compassion in an era often defined by division. Decades later, the story of Barron Trump and the Kindness Campaign continued to inspire new generations. Historians look back on the Java Haven incident as a pivotal moment in modern history, a small act of generosity that sparked a global revolution. It was a reminder that even in the face of conflict, kindness had the power to transform hearts, build bridges, and create lasting change. As the world moved forward, the principles of the Kindness Campaign endured, woven into the fabric of societies. Its legacy was a testament to the idea that no matter how divided the world might seem, the simple act of choosing kindness could light the way toward a brighter, more connected future. As the years progressed, the Kindness Campaign matured into a multifaceted global initiative that extended beyond its initial focus on personal connections and community dialogue. While its heart remained firmly rooted in empathy and understanding, the campaign branched out into areas that reflected the complexities of an ever-changing world, such as technology, environmental stewardship, and the evolving dynamics of global citizenship. One of the most innovative expansions of the Kindness Campaign came in the realm of technology. With digital platforms being both a unifier and a divider, the campaign collaborated with developers to create tools that foster digital civility. Building on earlier successes like the Pause for Perspective feature, the campaign introduced a groundbreaking app called Connect Kind. Connect Kind allowed users to share stories of kindness they experienced or witnessed. It featured a map where acts of kindness could be pinned, creating a visual representation of humanity's capacity for goodness. The app became a sensation, with millions of people using it to document moments of connection, from a stranger helping someone with their groceries to larger community-wide efforts like organizing fundraisers or rebuilding local parks. The app also included gamified features encouraging users to perform acts of kindness in exchange for virtual badges and recognition. This approach not only engaged younger audiences but also inspired users to take small, tangible steps toward making the world a better place. Recognizing the interconnectedness of humanity and the planet, the Kindness Campaign expanded its mission to include environmental sustainability. The movement introduced an initiative called Kindness to Earth, which focused on bridging the gap between human compassion and ecological responsibility. Communities that participated in the campaign planted trees, cleaned rivers, and reduced waste, often working alongside people with differing viewpoints. These collaborative efforts not only benefited the environment, but also provided opportunities for meaningful connection. For instance, a project in New Zealand brought together farmers and environmental activists, groups traditionally at odds, to restore wetlands and improve agricultural practices. By working side by side, they discovered common ground and built lasting friendships. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the coffee shop manager's actions toward Barron Trump? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.